Welcome back to Panda Audio Books and the legendary saga of Jian Wushuang. In our last episode, Wushuang completed his intense, rapid training, mastering the techniques necessary to survive the upcoming conflict. The preparation is finally over. The moment of truth has arrived. Today, the swordsman steps onto the stage. Chapters 7, 8, and 9 mark the beginning of the highly anticipated Sword Marquis Token Tournament. Watch as Wushuang strides into the arena, ready to reclaim his destiny and silence his critics forever. He will face wave after wave of opponents, demonstrating the shocking power he hid for 4 years. The clan will watch, the rivals will glare, and Wushuang will cut a path straight toward the top. Chapter 7 starts now. May the Sword Tao guide your listening. Chapter 7. Wishful Thinking. In front of the Sword Pavilion, in addition to Jian Wushuang and Jian Lin, there were a large number of Sword Pavilion disciples. They all saw what happened and felt confused. He forced Jian Lin back? How could this be? Peak of the 6th step of the Spirit Path. Jian Lin is at the peak of the 6th step of the Spirit Path. Even though he didn't use all his strength, no ordinary person could take it. Not to mention Jian Lin was forced back. The 3rd step, his cultivation is at the 3rd step of the Spirit Path. Has Jian Wushuang gathered spiritual power and become a warrior? Is his cultivation at the 3rd step of the Spirit Path? It was shocking. All the Sword Pavilion disciples were amazed. Just 10 days ago, Jian Wushuang had not gathered any spiritual power. But now, after only 10 days had passed, he had not only gathered spiritual power, but also cultivated to the 3rd step of the Spirit Path. In 10 days, he had gone from becoming a warrior to reaching the 3rd step of the Spirit Path after continuous breakthroughs. What did that mean? They did not know that Jian Wushuang cultivated heavenly creation skill and couldn't be thought of as an ordinary person. He had a heaven-defying cultivation method. 10 days ago, although he had just gathered the spiritual power, his cultivation speed with heavenly creation skill was faster than ordinary people. What's more, he had done frantic and desperate cultivation in the human-level cultivation room, where 1 day's cultivation for Jian Wushuang was worth dozens of days of cultivation for ordinary people. After 10 days, he had had a direct breakthrough from the 1st heaven of the divine path to the 3rd heaven of the divine path. Of course, he had just had the breakthrough and only reached the 3rd heaven. The reason Jian Lin thought he had reached the peak of the 3rd step of Spirit Path was that he cultivated heavenly creation skill. So his strength was significantly more than other warriors at the same level. Kid, I admit that I underestimated you. I did not expect that you could gather spiritual power. But it doesn't matter with only the 3rd step of the Spirit Path. In front of me, you are still trash. Jian Lin stared at Jian Wushuang. The spiritual power welling up from his palms showed that he was going all out. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. No matter what, he could not withstand an attack from someone who cultivated to the peak of the 6th step of the Spirit Path now. At this moment. What are you doing? There was a low growl, then Elder Hong in his grey robe came out from Sword Pavilion. Elder Hong. Several Sword Pavilion disciples respectfully saluted at once. Seeing the elder, Jian Lin immediately stopped and changed his look. The formidable spiritual power welling up from him was drawn back. At the same time, he saluted, Elder Hong. Elder Hong glanced at Jian Lin, and snorted, You are Jian Lin, huh? With cultivation at the peak of the 6th step of the Spirit Path, you are pretty good among disciples at the same level. Relying on a slightly deeper cultivation, you are showing off your strength in front of the Sword Pavilion. Do you really think there is no one who can deal with you in Sword Pavilion? I dare not. Jian Lin quickly shook his head, with cold sweat falling down instantly. He pretty much knew that, even if the position of Sword Pavilion had declined markedly in the Sword Marquis Mansion, the 4 great elders of Sword Pavilion, all of whom were at the spiritual sea realm, were the backbone of the mansion. Especially Elder Hong, his strength was absolutely in the top 3 in the current Sword Marquis Mansion. Facing such a strong man, even though he was conceited, he dared not be rude. Get out of here now, Elder Hong scolded. Okay, Jian Lin replied immediately. But as he was leaving, he glanced at Jian Wushuang and said with a sneer, Jian Wushuang, I heard that you went to find Meng'er the day she was appointed as the new Sword Pavilion Master, and boldly threw down a personal challenge for the annual Sword Marquis Token battle in 2 months. All those around were puzzled at first. This was the first time they were hearing this. They looked at Jian Wushuang. 2 months later, Jian Wushuang would challenge Jian Meng'er? Was this a joke? There are many folks in this world who are foolish and arrogant. But I have never met such a foolish and arrogant person as you. With just the 3rd step of the spirit path, you are actually thinking of defeating Meng'er, who is in the profound spiritual sea realm? Ha ha, my laughter is killing me. Jian Lin left. But his unscrupulous laughter echoed in front of the Sword Pavilion. Jian Wushuang just stood there, with an apathetic expression. Many people gazed at him with regret in their eyes. Some eyes were even filled with ridicule and disdain, just like Jian Lin's. Even Elder Hong was looking at Jian Wushuang with a quiet, complex expression. In 2 months he is challenging Jian Meng'er? Was Jian Wushuang going to rely on his cultivation at the 3rd step of the spirit path? All the Sword Pavilion disciples thought that was just wishful thinking for Jian Wushuang. After Jian Lin left, Elder Hong winked at Jian Wushuang. Immediately they went inside the hall of Sword Pavilion. Young Pavilion Master, congratulations. You have finally become a real warrior after 4 years' endeavor, Elder Hong smiled. He had seen everything that had occurred outside the Sword Pavilion just now, and had surely seen Jian Lin get knocked back by Jian Wushuang. Ah, but it is not enough just to be a warrior, Jian Wushuang said in a downcast voice. Elder Hong looked at Jian Wushuang seriously and asked, Young Pavilion Master, do you really want to fight with Jian Meng'er at the Sword Marquis Token battle? Yes, this competition is inevitable, Jian Wushuang said firmly. Elder Hong thought it was impossible. Young Master of the Pavilion, you should know that during a warrior's cultivation, the breakthrough of each level is much harder. It will also take a very long time. Only 2 months. As far as I know, in the whole Sword Marquis Mansion, the only one who ever made such great progress in 2 months was the Pavilion Master, your father. When the Pavilion Master was young, in 2 months he reached the 6th step of the Spirit Path from the 2nd step of the Spirit Path. He had a direct breakthrough of 4 levels, which greatly defied the natural order. The reason the Pavilion Master had such a breakthrough was that, first of all, he had a great gift for cultivation, together with the support of a large number of pills from the Sword Marquis Mansion. The most important thing was that the Pavilion Master spent those 2 months in the gladiator arena and participated in combat with opponents almost every day. Only because of struggling with life and death in the arena could he progress so fast. However, the Pavilion Master only had a breakthrough from the 2nd step of the Spirit Path to the 6th step of the Spirit Path. Elder Hong stared at Jian Wushuang. But that could not sway him from his decision, not even a little. Of course, he understood what Elder Hong said. It had taken his father 2 months to break through the 2nd step of the Spirit Path and reach the 6th step of the Spirit Path, which was incredible. However, what he was going to do was much harder. Jian Meng'er is already at the profound spiritual sea realm. I need to reach at least the level of the 7th heaven of the divine path. Then by virtue of heavenly creation skill and my swordsmanship, as well as the soul-devouring secret skill, it is possible for me to defeat him. And from the 3rd heaven of the divine path to the 7th heaven of the divine path, it is saying that they both need to break through 4 levels, but it is at least 10 times harder than that from the 2nd step of the Spirit Path to the 6th step of the Spirit Path. But I am a defiant cultivator. Every step I take will be out of the ordinary and in defiance of the natural order. Other people cannot do it. But for me, it is possible. Jian Wushuang had made up his mind. His eyes became more determined. Seeing this, Elder Hong asked, "Do you really want to try?" "Of course. But I will not just try, I will defeat her in 2 months." Jian Wushuang's eyes were grim. "In that case, I will not say anything more. But I have something that may be able to help you." Elder Hong took out a jade box from his bosom and then opened it. Inside the jade box were 2 milk-white pills. Chapter 8. First Class Spirit Cultivating Pill. Spirit Cultivating Pill. Jian Wushuang was momentarily surprised but immediately shook his head. That doesn't seem right. The fragrance is too strong. It can't be an ordinary pill. Could it be a first-class pill? Spirit cultivating pills were taken exclusively by warriors in the spirit path realm. It would greatly aid the cultivation of warriors of that level. However, there were two kinds of spirit cultivating pills. The first-class pills were 10 times rarer and more effective than ordinary pills. Furthermore, it had nearly no impurities, so a warrior could use it without any worries. A first-class spirit cultivating pill was a precious treasure. Not even hundreds of ordinary pills could match up to a first-class pill in market value. There were many alchemists in the pill refining room of the Sword Marquis mansion, but none managed to produce a first-class pill. That was why there were none in the mansion. If there was truly a need for it, the mansion could only purchase it from the gladiator arena. Jian Wushuang didn't expect Elder Hong to have one first-class spirit cultivating pill, let alone a whopping 2. I paid a considerable price to buy these 2 first-class spirit cultivating pills from the gladiator arena. I was planning on finding a good disciple and giving him these pills. I didn't think the Sword Pavilion would be hit by such a big crisis before I could even find one. So I'll hand these 2 pills to you, young master. I hope they'll be useful to you, Elder Hong said, smiling. Elder Hong. Jian Wushuang looked at Elder Hong but didn't stretch out his hands to accept the pills. A first-class spirit cultivating pill is extremely potent. A warrior in the spirit path realm typically needs a month to absorb the pill completely, and now you have 2. That's enough time for you to fully absorb these 2 pills. I believe it'll greatly help your cultivation. Just take them, Elder Hong said. Thank you so much. Jian Wushuang nodded, accepting the jade box without putting up a show of pretense. Elder Hong, rest assured the Sword Pavilion won't collapse while I'm still alive. In 2 months, I'll properly defeat Jian Meng'er of the Red Martial Hall before everyone in the Sword Marquis Token battle. I'll let everyone know that the only one who could be the Sword Pavilion master is a disciple of the Sword Pavilion. When he was done talking, Jian Wushuang turned and stepped into a cultivating room once again. Only this time he entered the earth-level cultivating room, one of the 3 big cultivating rooms in the Sword Pavilion. Elder Hong remained rooted on the ground, watching as Jian Wushuang walked into the cultivating room. A trace of a smile gradually appeared on his face. Young master's temperament is really similar to the master's. Stubborn. Yes. Pavilion master was just as stubborn. But to defeat Jian Meng'er in just 2 months, that's not just difficult but nearly impossible. Elder Hong shook his head. On the same day Jian Meng'er was appointed as the Sword Pavilion master, he personally had a fight with her. He realized she had unusual strength despite her young age. Having reached the exceptional spiritual sea realm long ago, it would be nearly impossible for a warrior with the usual profound spiritual sea realm to continue a fight against him for 20 movements. Yet Jian Meng'er succeeded. I really hope our young master will manage a miracle in 2 months. It's a joyful occasion that he has condensed spiritual power to be a warrior. I need to let that person in the Golden Dragon Palace know. The enormous pressure of the earth-level cultivating room was far greater than that of the human-level cultivation room. Inside the room, the spiritual power within Jian Wushuang's body was consumed even more quickly. Yet he continued practicing his ethereal and fluid swordsmanship with his shadow mirroring his actions. The swordsmanship he used was the Blue Cloud Sword Art, one of many top mysterious arts from the Sword Pavilion. Jian Meng'er had once performed all the 18 first-class sword arts of Sword Pavilion at the profound level, causing everyone in Sword Marquis Mansion to marvel at her talent in sword principles. They were so busy admiring her that they had forgotten that it was he, Jian Wushuang, who imparted each of those sword arts to her. He was the true genius of sword principles. Now, Jian Meng'er was recognized as the #1 sword principle talent by the whole Sword Marquis Mansion. But even she understood clearly that he was countless times more gifted in sword principles than she was. Take the Blue Cloud Sword Art, for example. He had truly pushed it to great heights, whereas her performance was just like a little kid's trick. His swordsmanship practice sped up the consumption of his spiritual power, but he was prepared and had already swallowed a first-class spirit cultivating pill earlier. The elixir was incredibly potent. After taking one, the typical warrior would need a month or more to absorb its effects completely. Jian Wushuang, with the help of heavenly creation skill, already felt the pill flowing quickly throughout his body. In just a night, He had completely absorbed the benefits of the first-class spirit cultivating pill. That allowed him to make a direct breakthrough to the fourth heaven of the divine path. The fourth heaven of the divine path. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists, feeling the booming power within him. He had just broken through the third heaven of the divine path yesterday and made another breakthrough today. It was thanks to the potency of the first-class spirit cultivating pill as well as the wonders of the heavenly creation skill. The pill that others needed a month or longer to absorb, he had absorbed within the span of one night. The heavenly creation skill is really magical. With the heavenly creation skill, I actually needed just a day to absorb the great effects of the first-class spirit cultivating pill. If I have more, then... His eyes gleamed red as he thought about this. I want those first-class spirit cultivating pills. The more, the better. Jian Wushuang's heart was burning with these thoughts. The first-class spirit cultivating pill, capable of being absorbed in a short time, greatly improved his cultivation. Of course, he thirsted for more. What a pity that those pills weren't so easy to obtain. Not even the Sword Marquis mansion is capable of producing these pills. Perhaps only the gladiator arena is capable of mass-producing them in Basui Prefecture, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. The gladiator arena was a giant chamber of commerce and enjoyed a high status in Basui Prefecture. If the Sword Marquis mansion needed ingredients or even pills in bulk, they would certainly purchase those things from the gladiator arena. Meanwhile, what attracted people the most about the gladiator arena were its duels and life-and-death battles. Jian Wushuang's father, for example, experienced many battles in the gladiator arena over the span of 2 months and made great progress in that time. These pills are so expensive that they're beyond my means at the moment. If that's the case, I only have one other way. No matter what happens, I need to give it a go, Jian Wushuang said firmly, staring at the only first-class spirit cultivating pill left in his palm. Madness and desire colored his expression. A duel. The reason why duels at the gladiator arena drew so much attention was the existence of duels leading to fighting and slaughtering between warriors. Chapter 9. Gladiator Arena. Although Basui Prefecture was just one of the 108 prefectures in Qianyang Province, its territory was still vast. The Sword Marquis Mansion was publicly recognized as the strongest force within Basui Prefecture. But there was, in fact, another stronger force. However, this force had been keeping a low profile and never engaged in fights. Thus, the title of the strongest force was given to the Sword Marquis Mansion. That transcendent force was none other than the gladiator arena. The royals of Qianzhong dynasty were said to be behind the gladiator arena. The arena, which was actually the strongest force, was present in every province and county of the Qianzhong dynasty. In Basui Prefecture, the gladiator arena was located in its very center. A masked figure wearing white robes and carrying a long sword ambled into the gladiator arena. An attendant welcomed him and said, "Your Excellency, what can we do for you?" "I want a duel," Jian Wushuang replied. "Duel?" The attendant lifted his brows without any surprise. The gladiator arena ran a variety of events, among which duels were the most common event. "Please tell me your name and cultivation level," the attendant said. "Call me Nan. As for my cultivation level..." With a flick of his wrist, a jet of spiritual power burst out from Jian Wushuang. The fourth step of the spirit path. The attendant smiled faintly. There were innumerable warriors coming for duels in this place. Warriors in the transforming sea realm or even in gold core realm had participated. Warriors at Jian Wushuang's level were all too common. "What do you want to bet, Mr. Nan?" the attendant asked. "This." Jian Wushuang took out the wooden box and opened it. Spirit cultivating pill. The attendant recognized the item at a glance but didn't think much of it. A few seconds later, his expression immediately changed. "This is a first-class spirit cultivating pill. Mr. Nan, let's talk in another place." "Follow me," the attendant said, lowering his voice. Jian Wushuang put away his wooden box and nodded. He followed the attendant into a secret chamber where another servant was waiting. The servant was dressed in black robes, clearly having a higher status in this arena. "Mr. Nan, our arena is operated in every city of Qianzhong dynasty and our rules are well known. I believe you're also aware of it, the black-robed servant said, looking at Jian Wushuang. I understand. When you take part in a life-or-death duel, your victory and life is your responsibility. Jian Wushuang nodded. In that case, I'll arrange a suitable opponent for you as soon as possible. As for that first-class spirit-cultivating pill, please hand it to me now. The black-robed servant looked at Jian Wushuang. Sure, cultivating pills in one go. Special duels? Yes, we do. The black-robed servant nodded. If you want to win more pills, there's only one way. That's the rank-skipping challenge. The servant's smile never faltered. A victory in the rank-skipping challenge pays tenfold. In other words, you'll get 10 pills if you win. But it's not an easy challenge. 99% of our challengers don't succeed and most of them end up dead. The rank-skipping challenge. Jian Wushuang's expression darkened. Being in the fourth heaven of the divine path, he needed to fight with warriors in the fifth step of the spirit path who wanted to have a duel in the arena. Although I'm only in the fourth heaven, my heavenly creation skill is stronger than my peers. My spiritual power is also strong enough to rival the common warrior in the fourth step of the spirit path. There's still a big gap compared with the fifth step, but I have an advantage in martial arts technique. Jian Wushuang had absolute confidence in his own swordsmanship. My swordsmanship should be enough to compensate for the gap in spiritual power. Besides, I also have my trump card. Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed, having made his decision. All right, I'll take the rank-skipping challenge. Please arrange it for me. A middle-aged man dressed in a loose purple robe entered the gladiator arena. Supervisor. Greetings, Supervisor. Whenever the servants passed by the middle-aged man, they paid their respects with humility. Are there any particularly interesting duels going on? The man asked a servant. Sir, you came right on time. We'll have a unique life and deal duel very soon. One warrior is at the fifth realm of the spirit path, but the other is at the fourth realm. His breakthrough seems pretty recent too, the servant replied. Oh, a rank-skipping challenge. The purple-robed man raised an eyebrow and nodded as if he was intrigued. I'll go and check it out. Large amounts of spectators crowded around a blue stone arena in the heart of this vast place, all intrigued by the rank-skipping challenge. The purple-robed man found a seat amid the crowd at random, staring at the bluestone arena. With so many spectators around, the atmosphere at the bluestone arena was a chaotic cauldron of noise. The crowd raised an uproar when they saw a dark-skinned man with messy hair stepping onto the arena. Spear Devil! Spear Devil! Many spectators cheered and howled, filling the whole arena. The man stood in the arena with his long spear, his brass bell-like eyes sweeping the crowd. He suddenly grinned, revealing a set of white teeth and an expression teeming with ferocity. Spear Devil was considered an expert in the gladiator arena. In the fifth step of the spirit path, he had killed 2 same-level warriors in life-and-death battles using extremely brutal tactics. Due to the excellent use of his spear, he was nicknamed as such. On the other side of the arena, a masked Jian Wushuang was quietly standing with his long sword. His exposed eyes were fixed on his brutish opponent, keenly feeling the pressure coming from him. Jian Wushuang appeared grim. He knew his opponent was not merely a warrior in the fifth step of the spirit path. The fact that he could win 2 duels in this insane arena meant his strength was far greater. He really didn't want to fight with Spear Devil, much less in a life-and-death battle, if he didn't have to. But he simply had no choice. After all, time wasn't on his side. His unique identity was easily identifiable through his sword arts from the Sword Marquis mansion. He couldn't participate in duel after duel in this arena at all. That left him only one choice, risking his life to take the rank-skipping challenge and try and win all the first-class spirit-cultivating pills he needed in one go. I've never heard of you, masked kid. It's probably your first time fighting in the gladiator arena. But you're really unlucky to meet me. Spear Devil stared coldly at Jian Wushuang as if he was a predator gazing at its prey. And with that exhilarating turn, we conclude Chapter 9. Wushuang has made his mark. He didn't just win his matches, he dominated them, proving to every stunned elder and snickering disciple that his return is no joke. The path to the Sword Marquis token is now clear, but the strongest competitors, the true genius, Jian Menge, and her powerful allies, are waiting. The preliminary rounds are over. The true challenges loom large. Join us next time for chapters 10, 11, and 12, where Wushuang faces his first major confrontation against a true master. Can his hidden power carry him through the high-stakes final rounds? Thank you for listening to Panda Audio Books. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the ultimate showdown.